All right, welcome to KitaCast, episode 19.
Sure it's not 20?
Yes?
Just making you second guess
God
yourself.
damn it, Dan!
It's 19.
I was sure it was 19, like you bastard.
Is it Christmas?
Not quite yet, Gary.
We're almost there, man. Don't worry. We got the tree up over there, and everyone's getting that Christmas spirit.
Ugh, I'm getting more of us. I'm getting some sort of spirits to deal with the season.
AKA rum and eggnog.
Delicious.
Or just rum.
Yeah, exactly. Just give me the rub.
Just straight cracking.
Just straight cracking. Straight cracking. Anywho, the Grinch speaking into your ears here is Nedu. To my right, we got...
Gary.
He is back.
Gerald.
Geralt.
Garrow of the bone marrow.
Whoa. Gary's getting real dark here. I don't know what's happening. To my left.
The lighter side, it's Dan.
Oh, wonderful.
The whiter side.
Oh, well.
Well, that too.
That too.
It all works. It's fair.
Indeed. All right, so this week we're just going to talk about some of the games. I mean, pretty much most of our conversation is going to be about games we're excited about for next year. It's getting to that time, and 2015 actually was a really, really good year for games, in my opinion. But 2016 is looking pretty rad right now, too. So why don't we just jump into it? Let's talk about some games that are coming out next year that we're excited about.
I have a list.
Holy
Yeah, it is a fucking list.
Holy
Oh,
jeez.
Gary's is longer than mine.
Oh, shit.
Oh, my God.
Were we supposed to have limits?
I really didn't say any limits.
Just throw a game out there and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
We'll go like person.
No, we can. This is one we can all gush over. Let's just break this fucking pinata open right now. Dark Souls 3. Fuck
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so because I'm the worst, I watched one of those more recent videos of Dark Souls. Like, I won't talk about it too much just in case fans don't want to see it, but they showed an example of a area leading to one of the newer bosses.
It was the 4-minute
Yeah,
gameplay video,
yeah.
which
I
I
didn't see
personally
it.
watched too.
Yeah.
I've been avoiding it like the plague. I just want to fucking play it when it comes out.
Nah, I hear
I'll
ya.
hold myself in and just not come out for a week.
Gary just will be gone.
Yeah.
But like that boss, like it was interesting, of course, because classic Dark Souls fashion, that boss looked really weird or whatever. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Kind of
Then
came out of nowhere too.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it got even weirder. I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Yeah,
Like,
in Souls fashion, it was just more of what the fuck, everything's trying to kill me.
Yeah.
And the level design straight up, like, it not only looked difficult because of the enemies, but the level itself was trying to kill you too. And it was just... It's Souls through and through. I mean, they have definitely increased the difficulty again. Through enemies and level design and everything. But one of the things I have to say, which I was expecting them to do, and it looks like they're coming through with it, it looks like this is Dark Souls 1 cross Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Like they had a baby. And that was basically, this is what Dark Souls 3 is. And it looks fucking amazing. Just the enemy design, the little taste of the level design, like it looks like a Souls game, but you are absolutely more mobile. It looks the gameplay and the combat look more based on Bloodborne, which is going to be awesome because one of the things with Dark Souls was a lot of time you were either going to be a very, very long distance magic user, so you were never in the fray, or if you were in the fray, you were a walking tank. You were very slow, typically. You had a giant shield, usually had a big axe or a big maul or a sword or something like that. And those were kind of like two typical builds that you could survive the game fairly well with. In this one, it looks like you are going to be able to build that type of, juke and jive, like Blade Dancer type character, because you are a lot more mobile. And yeah, I'm super excited for that, because that's the type of character I like to play in those games.
I'm super excited for the styles. Like, the way you can use weapons differently now.
The weapon arts?
Yeah.
Because they took a cue from Bloodborne also, because instead of having transforming weapons, it's like you can have a sword, but you can use the sword in 3 different ways.
Yeah. And that just gives way more flexibility to combat. I feel like it just gives you more ability to overcome enemies that piss you off.
Yeah, and do you feel like they're almost going to base certain enemies on certain styles and stuff like that too?
There's probably going to be ones that are weaker to stab and ones that are weaker to like slash and stuff, and you just have to use a different style to them. Like if there was one with like some huge shield or something, you might not want to have like heavy hits to like knock away the shield or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas like if one has like full armor, but there's like little holes in the armor or like little areas in the armor.
Then you're going to want to shank them a bunch of times.
Have stab and you just like stab right into there. It would be awesome.
Oh, for sure. For me, there's two things in particular that I'm really excited about. One is viability of using great swords. They've always been usable, but they've always just been just a little bit too slow. And just for me personally.
So that you should call them not so great swords.
No, the slow weapons are the best. You get like a stupidly strong hammer, and you just like go super slow.
Right. But I mean, like for me, like it's like if I could use something that slow, I would just use a hammer or a big axe. Like great swords were somewhere in between where they just didn't seem to do quite enough damage, but they were also kind of too slow.
And that's the thing, is one of the things you learn very quick in any Souls game is that as soon as you're vulnerable, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's typically what happens.
So the greatsword that we saw as an example in Dark Souls 3 looks very, very viable for use. It looks like they sped it up just enough. So again, it's not going to be as punishing and powerful as an axe or a hammer, but it's fast enough that you can use it, and also has a pretty wide range. Plus, its weapon art allows you to pretty much lift enemies into the air, which I love.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, also like the look of the magic user. I like the fact that they've got that you have like a magic bar similar to what you had in Demon Souls, as opposed to magic charges like you had in Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2.
Charges are annoying.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of magic charges, and one could argue they're pretty much the same. No, they're not. Because you have
it's more adaptable to have a bar.
Exactly.
Then you could switch moves and not be fucked over.
That's exactly true. So I'm really happy about that. Like watching the magic user example from the closed beta test looked really, really sweet. So yeah.
I think the big reason I haven't been watching trailers is because I just love the monster design so much that like I just don't want to see anything until like I come across it.
Yeah.
Because like I own the art book for Dark Souls, and one of there's like an interview with the head director of this game, and he's saying like the goal was to make monsters that are both like majestic but also like you could see like their former glory.
Yeah.
But you could also see how they've like decayed and like are gross and stuff too.
Yeah.
It's not just like gross factor. You can see like the history of these monsters. So I'm excited for that.
Well, yeah, I mean that's so true. Is what the case is with Dark Souls, and actually also the case with Bloodborne, is like these things had a greater form or a more glorious form at some point, but then have decayed. Like almost all the bosses in Dark Souls and a lot of the bosses in Bloodborne too are creatures that are less than they should be. They're horrifying, but it's interesting because you think about like, man, if this thing was at its full strength and full glory, that'd be really fucked.
Yeah.
So, and one of the biggest themes of Dark Souls 3 is like decaying beauty, and that's very clear from the first area that they showed. So
I'm just excited to see that sort of stuff, like when I like in game.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh, absolutely. Very, very true. Anything else about Dark Souls 3?
No, I just fucking have to play it. That's about it.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows.
No surprise there. I mean, it's a Souls game. It's just one of those givens. I have to play it. It looks like just everything the best. Like it's just a modernized, cleaned up version.
Yeah.
They're learning stuff as they go along, and it looks amazing. So
awesome.
Has to be played.
Awesome. Okay, so I will say a game I'm looking forward to.
Please.
Street Fighter V.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we've talked so much about this already, so I won't go too much into it, but yeah, needless to say, I love, like, every new main Street Fighter comes out, I'm always very excited for, and this one has definitely gotten the hype machine going real bad. Like, I've been watching a lot of, like, anytime there's a beta test, I've been watching tons of videos of the characters, of the moves, stuff like that. This game looks like everything I wanted Street Fighter 4 to be. And again, like, you know, I still enjoyed Street Fighter 4. I enjoyed it a lot. But I feel like these new characters and these new designs are just so interesting. I mean, I'm not going to try and be all look back and say like, oh, they did this wrong, this wrong. There are a lot of characters I liked in Street Fighter 4. But man, like these new ones in 5, the new characters in 5 just look fantastic.
See, I think that's
just
the
have
thing
so
is
much
it's
character.
it's not just that there's a bunch of new characters, which is always good because fighting games can get boring if you only have like 8 or 10 characters in them. I like a variety of characters to not only be but beat the crap out of. But they added new characters, and then all the older characters, they all got like a fresh new look and everything, and that is just they did so good on a lot of the characters.
And they weren't really afraid to do like move tweaking and stuff for them either. Like they change how they work, but they still have the same feel to them, I feel like.
Yeah, like I'm
Yes.
super excited because Ken looks way more violent
Yeah.
in this one now.
Yeah, well, that's was I remember because when that game first was revealed, we just saw Ryu and Chun Li, and they looked pretty much the same. I mean, they looked amazing, but their general design was the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when they started showing like Cammy, like, oh, they changed her up just a little bit, and Bison looks a little different, and then Charlie Nash is alive again. Okay, sure. And all of a sudden they show Ken, I'm like, holy shit!
Yeah.
And then since then, each
They're
character
showing
just
out
found
new characters
Yeah.
left and right.
Yeah, shit
Yeah.
just spiraled out of control, and people
And then
were just like, I
Dawson
need this
came in,
fucking
and everyone's
game.
like, what the fuck?
Dawson looks so good. Ken
Although
looks so good.
one of the things that pissed me off is, as per usual, of like, is the pre-order chaos of, pre-order this game and get this. It's like, I want shirtless Ryu.
I know, he looks so
Shirtless
badass.
or bearded? Because
Shirtless-
beard is the good part.
Shirtless beard Ryu looks incredible.
He looks like
It's
he
like
was just
fucking-
surviving on the mountainside or
my
something like
God.
that. He looks
Exactly.
way more badass. But,
Oh.
of course, it's a pre-order, so...
Oh man.
Us of
You
us-
probably
yeah.
pay like $2
Well,
for it.
Well, that's the thing is, the pre-orders will get it. We'll have to wait like 4 or 5 months, and they'll be like, oh, here's shirtless bearded Ryu for $2. And
Well-
it's like, well, you could have just given it to us. It's a fucking costume.
Well,
Like,
one thing that I'm interested about, and again, we'll have to actually see what the reward cycle is like, but what Capcom is saying, and I don't know if it's with all the in-game purchases, but a lot of them you can actually get through gaining fight money. That's
Okay.
right, Balrog's
cool.
fight money! From, doing stuff, playing online, winning, like, doing campaign stuff. So I'm hoping, because they're saying you can get the other characters with your fight money. I'm
Nice.
hoping you can do that with costumes and stuff as
oh,
well.
that was my idea, like, last time. Like,
Yeah.
on the last podcast, we were talking about, like, if
Yes.
you got trophies or achievements
yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
you actually unlocked in-game money to get DLC or costumes or something like that. Like, that's the type of shit that you need to start doing.
Yes.
I will more likely buy a game that had that type of ability in it,
Yeah.
just because I know that I buy a game,
Mhm.
and as long as I'm happy with this game, rather than trying to wrench another $20 out of me for some, like, useless DLC, if I'm playing the game and naturally unlocking this stuff, it's like old school gaming game. That's the way
Yeah.
it was supposed to be.
I miss that so much from
Yeah.
like GameCube generation and before.
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
they actually had that in so many games.
It's like, play the game and
Yeah.
unlock something that's on the fucking disc to begin with,
Yeah.
which is either cheat codes or, like, different costumes or
Yeah.
different game modes, and
and
like
I-
that's the shit that's supposed to be in the game to begin with. Stop nickel and diming us for this.
And this is a good hybrid of it because some people don't want to do all that. So like
Yeah.
it's nice that they could pay to get everything right off the bat.
Yeah.
So the people who don't want to can pay, and the people who want to
Yeah,
can
like,
just like
that was
work for
actually a
it.
big thing in Need for Speed, was that you could race and unlock all the cars, or you could go in and I think spend like $10 at the start, and it instantly unlocked all the cars.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that because that is on disc content. You could still get it completely free of charge. It's when you basically build a game and then rip half of it out and then sell it back to the customer after you've already sold them the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
That's the shit that pisses me off.
My one fear with the in-game purchase stuff, and this is something that's a problem with a lot of MMOs, but this is an MMO, so I don't
Yeah.
think it'll be the same. But it's generally more of a free-to-play issue. But when it's like you can earn stuff through in-game rewards, but the reward cycle is so slow.
It's the grind.
Yeah, it's incredibly it's a horrible grind. So it's just like you're doing this for hours and hours. Like, oh man, I might as well just buy the damn characters or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Like, I hope that is not the case.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of confident. I mean, maybe I'm just optimistic. Maybe I'm just naive. But I feel like Capcom really understands that their fan base for Street Fighter probably wouldn't really like that too much.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they know
Capcom's
that the
similar.
casual fans would probably pay for it.
Yeah.
And the hardcore ones
That's-
would just play for it.
That's exactly what I'm saying, and I'm hoping that the reward cycle of like getting the fight money and being able to unlock characters won't be arduous. It'll just it'll be a good reward loop. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. So yeah.
Gary, something off your list.
Let's go with Amplitude. 'cause
Yeah.
that is
Oh,
coming,
yeah.
that is coming soon, and I'm fucking excited.
That is you guys. I don't actually know much about Amplitude.
Okay, so
but
you've never played Amplitude?
I haven't. I know what it looks like.
Okay. Have you played Frequency?
No, but also
Okay.
no.
Okay, so Frequency and Amplitude, for those of you that don't know, two huge PS2 hits, both music-based, like music track-based music assembly games. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
how
like it's almost like futuristic rail shooter where you're like on a track and you have to hit the buttons in a certain order to build this track, and once you get to the end of it, it consolidates so it like stays part of the song.
it sequences all the music
Yeah.
together. So you're basically trying to build a track as you're flying along it by doing all the button sequencing
Yeah.
and everything. But So these were two like fairly big hits for PS2. Excellent games. Like had really good soundtracks and everything, and they were just a ton of fun to play. Now, fast forward how many years? Like 18 years or something like that.
Not quite that many. Like, it's been a while.
Oh wait, no, sorry, PS2. No, okay, so it would be like fast forward like 12 years basically. And 12, all of a sudden, 15. Kickstarter flies in, and another Amplitude game.
We got a new one.
So so it's obviously been funded, been worked on, and everything like that, and it comes out in what, February?
January.
Oh, in January.
Yeah.
Awesome, even sooner.
Yeah.
So basically just a new enhanced version of Amplitude with. Does it have the original soundtrack, or is it a whole new soundtrack?
It's a new soundtrack, but I'm hoping they pick like a bunch of fun like the good thing about Amplitude was it was music just that you hear on the radio, or you hear like.
Well, it wasn't so much just like straight up pop
it
top
wasn't
20 hit radio, but they were it was a good mix of music, so you never really got tired of one genre.
There was like electric songs, there was like Blink-182, there was like
exactly. So there was a really good mix, and a couple of them were like remixes of songs, and in case they were too slow or they didn't quite fit the whole like song building aspect or whatever, they kind of amped them up, Amplitude, that whole thing. But no, it was tons of fun. Like I remember just playing that one for hours and hours on weekends, and they obviously picked a good soundtrack because I could just play the songs again and again for the most part. Like there was very few songs where like, oh, I'm just gonna rip through this level because I don't want to hear this song or whatever. So
of course, I just hope they pick like some really good songs for this one. Because I feel like it's a new soundtrack, like entirely new.
I would think so, with the amount of money that they made on the Kickstarter and the amount of work that they put into it. I would imagine it's a whole new soundtrack, if not at least 3/4 of a new soundtrack. Maybe they have a few classic ones on there that either wanted to return or they were like fan favorites, so they put them on there again. But either way, it was tons of fun, and I cannot fucking wait.
Just give us a music store and make it infinitely playable.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing is, you know what? I'm usually not a big fan of DLC, but this game is like Rock Band, basically.
Certain games that make sense.
It makes perfect sense to have DLC for this one, because that is the type of thing that will keep a game like this fresh. Because you buy a game, it has 40 some songs in it or something like that. Yeah, eventually they are going to get old, but even if you could offer up couple songs every couple weeks or something like that, you're gonna keep people playing the game. Totally. So
another big thing is that the multiplayer in that game is fun. It is so cutthroat. It is so good.
Well, I'm hoping that they have like versus and co-op in that one too. Because you can either build the song together, or you can like have one person building the song, one person destroying it, or like just both people trying to build the song, who built it better. Like you can have lots of different modes like that. So.
Yeah, essentially in multiplayer, it's like you play the game, but you have Mario Kart style power-ups where you fuck people over.
Yeah, so it's like you'll have like a thing that blasts the guy and it like knocks his notes around and everything, and
or like wave, like Earthshaker sort of thing. So like his is all like wavy and you can't
screw up
his
combo bonus, and
or like speed ups and stuff. Like it's weird. It's fun.
So totally excited for that one. So let's go back to one off my list. Okay, so this is one that you didn't have in the email. Deus Ex: Mankind Divided.
Ah, yes.
Did you not have that on either of your lists, or?
No,
I didn't have it.
I didn't have it on my list. I'm not nearly as much of a Deus Ex fan as you.
Fucking amateurs.
You know, I never owned it on computer or anything, so I never like got really into it.
Yeah, I got to it late. So like I played that game, and it's really
if you ever want to play it, I have it on PS3.
I do have it.
Okay, you do have it. All right. Well, anyway, so suffice to say, I am like, this is probably, if it turns out to be as good as I'm thinking it is in my head right now, this is going to be one of my games of the year already.
Okay.
I have always been a huge Deus Ex fan, like ever since like the first PC game. Basically anything Cyberpunk I'm a huge fan of, but Deus Ex is the one that like basically nails it every time. And I remember when Human Revolution came out, and I was just like, yes, this is the fucking game that I've been waiting for. Like it has this cyberpunk flair to it, and it has this amazing like story to it, and it has like all the free choices and everything. Like when you're walking around, like you start out and you're just walking around in these populated streets, and it's gorgeous. It's rendered in like this beautiful like 3D first person, and you can just walk around. You can like bump into people. You can go into like the couple different stores. You can go into the cop shop. You can go into the apartments and everything like that. And then when you start doing all these missions and stuff, like you have to break into this old like abandoned warehouse or this apartment and everything, but you can attack it from so many different ways. Like you can break in the fire escape, you can walk in the front door, guns blazing, you can like bribe a guy to let you in a side door. Like this is the thing that built these games up so well, and the fact that this is the newest iteration means that they're just going to have that much more of those choices in it and everything.
Plus, with like the new technology, you can
and that's
add
the thing
way
is,
more different aspects to it.
Yeah, exactly. Like newer technology is always opening doors to newer things in games like that. And then speaking of technology, in-game technology is really amped up this time too, because like they have some really insane looking power-ups from what they've shown in like the little bits and pieces of the trailer so far. And and I think they learned a couple things from Human Revolution 2, because even though it was one of my favorite games, there were some gripes from the public with it, with some control issues or some kind of like air quotes branching story stuff and everything that didn't really go anywhere. Some side missions and stuff like that. But I played it for what it was, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So in this one, I hope that they kind of learned their lesson from that. Like some of the boss fights were an absolute joke in that game, so I almost guarantee that the boss fights are going to be like crazy fucking hard in this one, just to get people to shut up about it.
Circle strafe.
I feel like you wouldn't have to worry too much with Square leading it,
because that's the thing.
I feel like they have a good grasp on especially their North American IPs, when they got like Eidos and like Crystal Dynamics and stuff.
Yeah.
With their North American IPs, they take a lot of care to make sure it's still popular for the North American player.
And if Tomb Raider, if the Rise of the Tomb Raider is any indication, like different team, but like just as far as the North American, like or Western IPs go, like you can see the clear progression of everything that was kind of not super great in the first game, them improving on that like quite a bit. So I'm hoping that it'll be the same case with the next Deus Ex game.
Yeah.
I feel they just take a lot more care of it because they know like that's a huge cash cow now.
Yeah.
So
and that's the thing is this really has become that. Like it's not just another title that comes out. When this comes out, there is not even an underground fandom. This is just a fandom through and through that absolutely loves this series. And if you fuck it up, they will let you know.
Yeah.
Like just straight up, they will burn you down if you screw it up. So, I don't think we have anything to worry about on that one. Yeah. But again, you guys not as excited for it. Me, I am totally excited for this because again, it's one of my favorite series.
It's one of those games that I know I'm going to play.
Yeah.
So like I'm not nearly as excited as you, but I do have another friend as well who just like played through that game like 9 times. Like he would probably like sacrifice his first of kin. He's listening. You know who you are to play this game. And just like I'm glad that they dropped that augment your pre-order stuff with that game. Like
see that's the thing. That just shows that they are listening. That they were the fans cried foul on it. They're like, okay, we'll back off. We won't do that.
Yeah.
And just go with it. So, so there's that. So
cool.
What do you got there to do?
Let's see. So speaking of things of pre-order ridiculousness, I'm ashamed of this one.
There we go. Yeah.
But
tell the world your shame.
Overwatch. I may or may not have pre-ordered that game.
May or may not have.
As in, I definitely did.
Yeah, you fucking pre-ordered it.
But like the main reason I did pre-order that one actually, which I was going to mention earlier, was mostly because I was talking to a friend of a friend who is like a crazy Blizzard fan, and she was just like, that game, you have a much higher chance of getting into the beta if you do pre-order it. And I was like, that makes sense. Yeah, exactly.
You've already put your money forward.
No guarantees.
No, well, I know that.
Yeah.
But so I was like, you know what? Damn it, I'm gonna play this game anyway. Yeah. And Blizzard is actually good with their betas are actually really interesting. They do listen to your feedback. Like I did do the beta for Diablo 3 before it came out. I played a very little bit of Heroes of Storm beta, and their betas are usually really interesting. And I know this is one of those games, like I'm not huge into competitive games, but for whatever reason, Overwatch has completely captured my interest. I love the character designs.
I think that's it. It's definitely some of the character designs, because that's the thing is I'm not I don't really do a lot of competitive first-person shooting online.
Yeah.
But there is something about Overwatch that has caught me. So.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely captured my imagination. I love... Yeah, like, the character designs look fantastic. The actual gameplay loop looks really, really interesting, too. The fact that not only... Like, it's not just a team... Like, it's not just, like, a team deathmatch or anything like that. It's... You know, you have to defend the points. You have to, follow the payload. And the fact that it's very important for you to be team focused in that. And generally that makes me nervous. That's why I'm always like, team deathmatch. I'll just go in and die and it'll be my own fault or whatever. But
sorry, those teamwork games sound fun until you start playing them and then you realize you hate everybody.
but that's the thing. When it comes to teamwork in Overwatch, it's the case of one of those things where it's like takes skill to get used to what you're doing, but it's like it's very kind of basic. It's like get near the payload and help protect. You've got your person who may be like the tank or or the defender. Say he's like Winston, who's the giant ape. Yeah. He's like get on the payload. He puts down the shield, and his job is to stay around there and basically try and fuck up anybody who gets too close. You're running around as Tracer, going around the perimeter, running up behind anybody who's coming up on them and killing them.
Yeah.
And you've got somebody else as like this as a Widowmaker sniper staying far away. You've got somebody as Reinhardt sticking close to the defensive position with his shield. Like what your role is based on who you are.
Yeah, and see that's the thing that kind of gives me some hope for this one is that first off, it's got big money behind it because it's Blizzard.
Yeah.
So that's a big advantage right there. The other thing is, again, it's Blizzard, so the fandom is there. People that see this game, they're going to recognize it for what it is, and you're going to get proper players playing this.
For sure.
I mean, you're always going to get the tag-alongs and the little kids and shit like that that don't know what they're doing or they're just being dicks or whatever. But for the most part, Blizzard has a very solid fandom, so you're going to have some really solid players in that. And the other thing that really gives me hope and will actually make me want to play this game is that you're right. Teamwork in a lot of these games almost always falls apart because even though a person that makes the game, they present it to the world as team play,
I hate those fucking
they never
videos.
make the game based on team play or very, very little. So there's very little holding it together. Whereas all the characters in Overwatch, you can see they have very dedicated roles.
Yeah.
So they have taken a first-person shooter, but they've taken it the MOBA direction. Even though it's not a MOBA, it's a first-person shooter, deathmatch, whatever the fuck else you want to call it. But they've given all these characters roles, and they very well. You can see clearly that they've studied MOBAs because they've given them these dedicated roles. So when you have a dedicated fandom, tons of money behind it, and a game that is clearly built around team play, I have very high hopes that is what's going to happen.
And that could be true because another one based on team play that was built was like Team Fortress based on team play.
Yeah,
and because it was built that way. Although you can play it like an ass, it generally ends up being played properly. So. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And the big thing too for me is that the ongoing support. Blizzard did a great job of supporting Diablo. When Diablo 3 first came out, I many others was quite disappointed. I was like, oh man, I can't believe I actually paid for this. But when that game kept getting ongoing support again, they listened to their fans. They kept adding patches. Some of the patches completely changed that game.
Yes.
Even before Reaper of Souls, that game was so much fun. It was night and day playing it at that point. And I remember getting back into playing it. I was like, damn it, I'm going to go buy Reaper of Souls. I did not expect that. And already with Overwatch, they said, anything you pay for in-game will not be characters or maps. And new characters and new maps will be released for free because we don't want to break up the player base. Anything you pay for is going to be mostly cosmetic.
Exactly. And see, that's another thing that they've studied MOBAs very closely because that was the thing is MOBAs really paved the way for that. MOBAs were the first group of games to start doing DLC right because it is if you want to buy something in game, it should never put you above someone else. Or else then it is that dirty class that is pay to win.
Yeah.
And nobody fucking likes that shit. Unless you're a little 12-year-old with daddy's credit card, and then you don't fucking care because you can buy all the guns and armor you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, so MOBAs have paved the way for that whole thing of buying cosmetics. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's the way to fucking do it, because I'm a character design whore. I love making my character my own. So yeah, I don't mind spending some money on it cosmetically to make my character look the way I want him to. And then me being just as skilled or outclassed as everyone else in the same game. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Gary?
What you got on your list there?
Oh, it's my turn already.
Yeah, we're just randomly picking them here, so...
Yeah.
Well, I guess what goes hand in hand is Battleborn.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah. I don't have too much to say about it because I haven't played it yet.
Right.
I wasn't in the beta and I didn't I've seen it and it looks really cool, but because I was so into Borderlands and it's like
Okay, so
Gearbox
you haven't played it, but what got you excited about it? Like, why is it on your list?
It's that Gearbox feel that I was just about to say.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I saw the trailer and I'm like, man, this feel like it's not Borderlands, but it's got all that personality and character in, especially all the differently designed characters. It feels like it's one of the ones that I can get into for competitive play more than other games.
Yeah.
And it's got the whole single player campaign. It's not just a multiplayer game.
That's
so
definitely
many of those
something that it
nowadays.
has over Overwatch, you can play it by yourself if you want to.
Yeah, and I always appreciate a good multiplayer, but also a good single player.
Yeah.
Whereas the single player usually falls down the wayside when it comes to multiplayer games nowadays.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It does look very, very cool.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned that it feels very Gearbox, because it absolutely does. Because the thing with Overwatch, when you watch a trailer, even though when you watch the first cinematic trailer or you watch some of the character trailers, it feels like that kind of... It has a bit of that Pixar feel, but it still feels kind of serious, like it takes itself seriously.
Yeah.
Battleborn does not take itself seriously.
Yeah, Battleborn's just fuck it, go in there, do your thing.
Yeah, and it has this, again, it's almost like you have this Handsome Jack-esque character who's running these games or whatever, and he's this witty bastard, and it definitely has that feel to it, and if it speaks that loudly in the cinematics, I can only imagine how it comes through in the actual gameplay and the one-player game and all that kind of stuff.
And the gunplay's always been good in the Borderlands games, so I feel like they have a good grasp of it. So
For sure.
I mean, when a game is based purely around shooting, I should hope the gunplay is good.
Yeah.
Well, not just the gunplay though. The skills are really creative and really well implemented in those games too.
That was were you going to mention the skill trees or whatever? Or
Yeah.
Go for it.
Just because that game. Well, first of all, if you don't mind, what I like about it is because each character, more so than a lot of games, Overwatch is very cohesive the way they look. These characters look like they're from completely different worlds, and because of that, they've got completely some of them don't even shoot guns. Some of them throw kunai. Some of them have swords. And what's interesting is because every character plays so differently. Again, there's that MOBA influence coming in where they've got those skill trees, and you start from level 1 all the time. But as you level up, you've got this kind of it looks like this double helix thing where the skills are just as a basic example. One side will be more attack focused, the other side will be more defense focused, right? And so based on whatever you want to do, you'll pick a skill, and so you get the one skill, the other one on that side's locked out, and then next level up you have again this choice between something more defense focused, more attack focused, and it doesn't matter. You can mix and match whatever kind of skills
so you
that
can play
you
your
want
character how you want.
Exactly.
There's even the difference between passive and active.
Yes.
You could have a ton of passive skills and just play whatever and have your character do things by themselves, or just have full active and
and see that
control over everything.
And that's one thing that really made that game stand out against Overwatch was they were clearly watching MOBA type play when they were building their stuff, because unlike Overwatch where your characters just start and you have all of your abilities, the MOBA kind of comes into factor into Battleborn, because when you're going along and you level up your characters and you're choosing all these stats on that double helix thing, as soon as the game's done, that gets wiped.
Yeah.
And you're at level 1 again. So basically every time you play, even though you're playing the same character, you can play them in a different way because of the different stats that you're picking. So because that's the same thing when you play Dota or you play League of Legends, your character starts at level 1 every time, and you're constantly buying the same items and you're unlocking the same abilities and everything like that. So they've taken that and just put it in the first-person shooter arena, which is a very interesting take on it, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so
hey, Dad,
go ahead. List here. I'm going to pick one that you guys probably don't have on your list.
Ooh.
I dare you.
I guarantee you don't have it on your list.
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank.
I do.
Oh shit!
Yes, suck it.
I figured Gary would have had that one.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember if Gary was a huge Ratchet and Clank fan or not.
I started with the Future series, but I just fucking.
Did you ever go back and play?
I haven't yet.
They're really
because they have the remastered
group
ones and everything. You should totally play those.
Yeah, but the Future ones are super good.
Yeah, they really are. But anyway, so yeah, suffice to say, Ratchet and Clank, huge fan of that series, and to have it come to the PS4 and just look as gorgeous as it does,
it's a movie.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's the funny part
like
too, is because the movie's coming out in
the movie based on the game,
another month or something, or is that over Christmas? Or...
I can't remember.
Is it? I think it's next year.
Is it next? Oh, maybe it was next year.
I don't know.
I feel like it's early. It's early next year.
I think it's earlier, but either way, it's it's at that point now where it's literally you look at the movie and you look at the game, and you can't tell which one's which anymore.
Yeah,
because we've just reached that level now, and I love it because these games have always looked fairly good, but they have been a little limited because of the horsepower of the PS2 or the PS3, because you can only have so many effects on the screen, so many lighting effects, so many particle effects, so many polys. This game can only get better as it goes along, from system to system, because these games are about crazy weapons, massive destruction, and nuts and bolts flying everywhere. So to have this extra horsepower of the PS4 now, and they're kind of calling it a soft reboot almost. It's kind of interesting. Honestly, I don't care.
I feel like it sort of needed that too, because
it kind of did, because
stale near the end of PS3.
But the thing that I don't mind about it too is that the Ratchet and Clank games, other than Deadlocked, because that was a straight up arena game.
Yeah.
That's where I started.
It was like an in between game kind of thing. It was not a full game. It was it was just an arena battler kind of thing.
It's supposed to be more multiplayer focused.
That's the thing too. Yeah, it was kind of like that. It was like a very weird in between thing. But the thing is, from game to game, other than switching up some of the weapons, obviously adding more to the story and stuff like that, Ratchet and Clank games have always been Ratchet and Clank through and through. They've never really changed what they were about, how they handled. They've always had amazing gunplay, crazy, wacky enemies, the rail grind sections, the big expanse in the background so you can see the city going by.
Yeah.
Just really, really, they're just such creative games. And they've been fun every single time. So...
one for all.
Except for,
there's a couple.
That was the problem, though, was because that was an experiment in the weird multiplayer with the Move. I think they used the Move controller.
I think it did. Yeah.
Yeah, which again was very experimental, and that's the problem, is they tried to make it this multiplayer mashup where you use the Move controller to do all these puzzles and shit, and it was just weird. It wasn't a proper Ratchet and Clank game.
Yeah,
and
all the mainstay ones have been good though.
Yeah, basically all the PS2 and the main PS3 ones and stuff.
Even the PSP one's supposed to be pretty good.
That's right. I never actually got a chance to play that one.
Even apparently Secret Agent Clank is good too.
Yeah. So because that one's more puzzle solving, as Gary, you would know anyways, that when you got to handle Clank in those, he was a puzzle solver, because he was the little guy who crawl in the tubes and move stuff around and use electromagnets and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so do you have anything to add or
I'm just excited because in general the weapon designs in that game have always been crazy and fun. And they always have unique things going on.
Yeah, I can't imagine what they can do with the horsepower now with the PS4
imagine if you killed some enemies and their nuts are just lying around and you make a fucking tornado and whips nuts all around it.
Yeah, exactly. Just shit
you can do shit like that now because you can just leave those nuts lying around.
You know what? One that I think would be really cool. I don't recall it being in a game, but I think with just the type of physics technology and all that kind of stuff that we have now and that power to do that stuff, I think it would be really cool if you had a gun that when you shot the enemy, he'd either turn into water or lava. It would melt him, but he'd be all gooey and he'd spread across the ground and maybe guys would get damaged if they stepped on him or something.
That is a great idea.
That would be fucking awesome. But just stuff like that. They
have
could
so
put that in
many
the game.
Things they could do now.
Because that would have never flown in a PS2 game, basically. Because they just wouldn't have been able to make it do that. It would have been a pre-rendered animation and it just wouldn't have been the same. Whereas now it's it's game on. Anything could happen.
Yeah, so that's what I'm most excited about for that game. And Captain Quark.
Captain Quark. I mean, he's awesome every time. He's such a dick.
He's
Yeah,
Zap
yeah.
Brannigan.
Actually, one of the things that
He
I think
is.
is going to make a massive difference on the PS4 too is the level design.
Oh yeah.
Because the levels have always been really grandiose. You can always look in the background and see the skyline. There's
Yeah.
always like the grinding rail parts where it take you kind of through the city and
Mhm.
everything. But
it's always been kind of linear, right?
that's the thing is it's been very linear. It's that kind of like directed focus
Yeah.
where it looks big and expansive and everything, but it really is fairly linear because they can only do
Yeah.
so much. I think this one, they can have some levels that are truly like almost open world, and you
Mhm.
could kind of go anywhere you want because they have that horsepower.
Yeah,
to
that would be
do that.
awesome.
And and I just love the level designs because it's just that wacky futuristic city, and it's very whimsical and everything. So
Nice.
yeah, very very excited for that.
Cool.
Let's see. So, of course, I promised not to ramble about Persona 5 too much,
Oh yeah.
but I'm gonna talk.
I don't think you're allowed to ramble about Persona 5 until you finish Persona 2 and 3
Okay.
and 4?
I'm never gonna finish.
You beat 4.
I beat 4.
Oh, you beat 4,
Yeah,
okay.
beat 4. Never gonna finish Persona 2. I'm sorry, because there's 2 Persona 2s.
Really?
Yeah, there's Persona 2 Innocent Sin and Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. I played.
They're releasing the wrong order here.
They released Eternal Punishment here. They didn't release Innocent Sin here until the PSP
Yeah.
version because Innocent Sin had too many controversial things because one character was gay and there was also
There's
Hitler,
Hitler,
so that
you
scared
fought
people.
Hitler.
Not a gay character and a man that actually existed.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it was dumb. It was super dumb. But yeah, I played a ton of Persona 2, but that game's real tough, and I don't see myself ever finishing it. Persona 3 I will finish eventually. I think I'm about 100 hours into that game now.
Oh, man.
I played every once in a while, so yeah, 100 hours in. Persona 4 took me 190 hours to finish, but I did.
It's like 2 hours every year.
No, that game took me a full year to finish.
No, I'm talking about Persona 3.
Oh, Persona 3. Oh, yeah. But anyway, Persona 5. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Just okay.
Just okay.
Shut up, Gary. Anyway,
Let him have his moment.
just let me have this. When we saw the first reveal trailer for Persona 5, well, they actually showed some gameplay and played some music. I think I watched it maybe 10 times in a row. I don't think I'm exaggerating. Like, one time after another. Showed it to my older brother, gushed him about it, then watched it even more. The things that I love about Persona games is not, first of all, the stylishness of them. Like,
yeah, I've never played a Persona game
They're
before.
stylish as fuck.
I have I barely know any history of it. I've never watched any anime of it. Like, I basically never known Persona, and I watched that trailer like 5 times.
Yeah.
Because it made my eyeballs explode. Like,
Yeah.
it was just, it oozes style. If it does nothing else, it
Yeah.
oozes style.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing that I love about that is that style isn't just like skin deep. That style is so enmeshed with everything as far as the presentation goes when it comes to the attack animations, the characters' names, the music, way
the
characters
menus.
act.
Oh my god.
The menus, the best video game menus I've ever
Holy
seen.
shit,
I don't
those
even.
are-
Yeah, like, it's ridiculous. I was just like, oh man, I'm gonna spend so much time in these menus just because they look amazing.
It's like most game developers, they don't even realize that they can make an interesting, good-looking, like, good functioning menu.
Yeah.
It's like, look at Persona 5. That's...
And
Yeah.
when you switch categories and items on the menu, the characters and the menu display changes to reflect that.
It's like fucking opening a website in 2015 compared to like 2003.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, it's so good.
And so it looks like they're jazzing things up. One of the worst things about Persona, well, actually I will say this as well as for Persona 1 and 2, but 3 and 4 was dungeon crawling, and that seems like a weird thing, but it's just because the dungeons tend to be very, very repetitive. In this game, it looks like there's interesting stuff as far as movement goes. First of all, the characters seem to be able to sneak around and jump over objects, so that already makes it look like it'll be interesting. When you're doing the sneak thing too, like the way the character dashes from cover to cover is very animated. Like, it becomes like an actual blur. Like,
Now, when you say dashes from cover to cover, are we talking, like, have they implemented proper cover mechanics like a Gears of War game?
I don't think it's quite like that, but it's still also hard to tell because we haven't actually seen what that looks like. We've seen a clip in gameplay, so we see visually what it looks like, but we don't know what it's going to control like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
but it seems like they added like more stealth elements to it, right?
Yeah, that's what, it does look like that. And again, also we saw some machine where the character was jumping over chandeliers while avoiding enemy sight, right? So that's interesting. Another thing that's cool too is that they're going back to demons rather than having the shadows that you were fighting from Persona 3 and 4. So that, again, I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like when you do defeat them or maybe talk to them, which I'm hoping they're having the demon conversation back, it looks like they're turning into masks, which you can acquire and probably make new Persona with. But one thing that's...
It's Pokemon.
It's honestly... Shin Megami Tensei was Pokemon before Pokemon. Oh, nice. That came out in the NES, so, let's just... That's just a fact. But one thing that's really exciting me, too, is the best part about Persona games is always the storyline and the characters, the incredibly deep characters. There's not a lot that we know about these characters at this moment, but one thing that's incredibly exciting to me is the main character. Oftentimes, he looks very nonchalant and calm, but when shit gets cranky, he has this really devious smile on his face. And what's been suggested is that, in Persona 3 and 4, oftentimes the characters are almost unwilling participants in a crazy situation going on. But what it looks like the case is in 5 is that the characters do get wrapped in a crazy situation, but it looks like they kind of throw themselves into it. They're like, yeah, let's fucking do this.
Sadistic thrill seeker.
Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like. It looks like they're almost sadistic thrill seekers, and they're like phantom thieves kind of thing. Like they're like almost Zorro or Robin-esque, where they're taking so much joy in fucking with the man and taking and kind of screwing up and messing up the status quo. So, yeah, I could talk more about this game, but I won't. But I am absolutely excited.
I just have a quick question about it then. It's because of my, zero knowledge of Persona. Can I go and buy 5 and fully enjoy it, even though I've never played another Persona game?
They're like Tales, they're like Final Fantasy. Each game is kind of its own story. Okay. They're not really connected.
Because honestly...
they are connected thematically. Sometimes there are characters that cross over, but...
Yeah.
Kind of non sequitur though.
Yes,
very much just pick it up.
But yeah, honestly, from watching that trailer and just being an anime fan in general, I saw that and I was just like, I think I want to play this. It looks very, very good. So,
yes.
I hope that one comes out sooner than later.
Same.
Cool. So the one I've got here is one you guys probably don't have.
Try me.
Neo.
Is that the...
That's the samurai one that looks like Onimusha.
Oh, right, yes.
Because I don't know, I saw it at TGS, so I'm like, man, that has so much potential to just be a wicked samurai game. And when was the last time I played one of those? And I don't know if they're gonna have the puzzle solving elements or those sorts of things and that they had in Onimusha, but this is the closest thing we're getting at the time.
Have they shown anything new on that other than what you saw at TGS?
Not really, not since then, but they have it's coming out next year, so...
They had that trailer at PSX, did they not?
Did they have a new one at PSX?
He's the samurai with white hair, right?
I don't...
Or am I thinking of a different game?
Maybe.
Sorry. Because I was thinking of a game that I think it was being made by Team Ninja or something like that.
Yeah, I think
maybe
so.
we could,
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe we could look it up after or something.
We'll look it up after.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I may be talking about
I didn't actually, I haven't... I'm not super hyped for this.
Sure, but it looks neat.
I miss Onimusha so much. That I'm just man, I want to play anything at this point. Yeah, even if it's trashy Onimusha. it's like what you did with Metal Gear when you had that N64 game, whatever the fuck it was called.
Wait, which one?
Oh, Winback.
Oh, Winback! Winback! Yes!
It's like that.
My God.
I just want to play a samurai game like Onimusha. I don't care what it is.
That's
okay,
fair.
Well, I do have a game that I want to eventually play on the show. I own 2 of them for PS2, and I was thinking about buying one of the other ones on Steam because it's actually on there. But Way of the Samurai.
Oh.
Have you ever played those games before?
Yeah, I haven't, but I've known so much about them.
Oh, that's so good that you guys have never played those before. Oh, I'm excited for that.
So you're saying there's a new Way of the Samurai coming out?
No, not brand new. They have 4, which is the newest one. It's on Steam,
right?
But it came out last year. I think it was October last year or something like that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, do you know anything about them or?
I know the concept and I've seen I've seen a lot of videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you get the idea. You basically just play a samurai. It's not Onimusha. There's no demons and crazy shit puzzles and everything like that. It's literally like you're a samurai, but you get to play his short life story because on average, to finish the 1-player game is anywhere from 10 minutes to 2 hours.
Oh shit!
But you play through it multiple times because I think even the first game had like 10 different endings. The second game had like 14 or 15 different endings.
Yeah.
And you get to design what your samurai looks like, what he wears, what type of weapon style he uses. And the funny part is it's you can go around and take it very seriously, like an old black and white samurai film, or you can just be a rank ass dick in the whole thing and just like help the robbers, beat up the poor, like
You fucking asshole.
like kill the woman that's trying to like guard a restaurant. Like you can just
General
be a total
ass
dick.
hattie.
Like
Yeah.
so yeah, but those games are tons of fun. But apparently in 4 they just went way more campy, and it is just ridiculous. Like I think you can like own a strip club in that one.
Nice.
And, like, it's like a ancient like Japanese strip club or like
Yo, those
whatever,
might be
like,
better.
geisha house or something like that. But it's
You don't
still
have loud, obnoxious pop music? Like, sounds better to me.
But either way, so you're looking for a samurai game. Might
Interesting.
check out
Nice.
some of those. 'Cause...
So it looks like there was a trailer. We'll watch that after.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
So
sure.
we'll check that
Yeah,
one
cool.
out. Okay, so anything else to say on that
Neo?
Neo or whatever?
Other than the fact that it's been compared to Dark Souls,
Yeah.
which is also pretty exciting. to
That
me.
is pretty
Samurai
exciting.
Souls.
Yeah, exactly.
Woo.
Other than that fact, like not much else. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna wait for it
Yeah,
to show up and
I-
see
yeah.
see the reviews. before get
I
into it.
definitely want to see more because I saw cause the trailer that you're talking. I think I swear to God that's the one I'm thinking about because I feel like I saw like that looks neat. I just kind of want to see a little bit more before I
Yeah.
get excited. But it's understandable why like you're excited. I never really got into Onimusha. I totally dropped the
Fuck,
ball.
I
on
love
that
those
series.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really good. Because when I started playing, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like Resident Evil, but I'm like,
Except.
and then I got
Except it works.
Except it works
because you have a sword instead of a fucking gun.
Yeah, and it's
That you can't
and
aim.
it's
I like
just
Resident
so.
Evil.
And the thing is,
Shitty
well, because
guns, yeah.
you like Devil May Cry.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like Devil May Cry mixed with Resident Evil.
Okay.
Like it's
Like I played a bit
Except
of
it's
4
like way
Okay.
slower.
ages
action.
ago.
it's slower
Yeah,
action. Yeah.
I cannot remember it all. So
But yeah, I remember actually really enjoying those games.
Yeah, you know how like they have the camera angles and stuff in
Yes.
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Like it actually works in Onimusha because you can still attack in certain directions.
Yeah.
Because you have a sword instead of a fucking gun that you can't control.
pew pew. No, don't come.
So-
And the sword doesn't
And
have
the puzzles
bullets.
were
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
puzzles were like Resident Evil quality.
Cool.
It was essentially Resident Evil, but like
With
it worked.
samurai and demons. Cool. No,
Yeah.
that's neat.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else you thoroughly have to talk about, or can I just like bang through my list and just kind of say what else I'm excited for?
I guess maybe there's. You know what,
I think there is two that you probably want to talk about on my list here.
Yeah.
I'll show you these two.
Yeah. Though. Yeah. I mean, those are
Yeah.
exactly the ones I was
Yeah.
thinking about. There's I can pick one of the two that I'm thinking
Okay.
about. That. 'Cause-
All right. We each get one more game.
Okay.
To
Good
go.
idea.
shit.
Good
Okay.
idea. Because we're out of this.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right, Gary. You're going last though, so you have some time to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to pick a good one here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Yeah, I think the one I have to gush about that shows a lot of promise, and I really hope it doesn't get pushed out of 2016 is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah. Good
This
choice.
game won multiple awards at different award shows throughout the year, like ever since it's been shown at E3 this year.
Yeah.
It has been an absolute showstopper, like whenever they've shown anything of it. And it just looks epic. I mean, I love Guerrilla Games. Like, they did an amazing job with the Killzone series. I'm a huge fan of Killzone. And if it plays even half as well as that with the content that they've shown us in some of those gameplay trailers and everything, I'm sold like 10 times over. It looks so creative because where a few of the other games this year that they've shown anyways that they're going to come out next year, I think there's Primal. Is it Far Cry Primal?
Far Cry Primal, and then I
then-
guess Wild.
Is it Wild is the other one that's kind of that
yeah.
hunter-gatherer
Yeah.
type thing?
Yeah.
Those look cool in their own aspect. Like, Far Cry is a Far Cry game, so it's really balls crazy. It's like Fast and Furious back in prehistoric times. And And then Wild is supposed to be, I guess, a little more zen. Like, it's about the hunter-gatherer.
Yeah.
You actually, like, kind of stealth and hunt animals and use their pelts, but you're supposed to have a balance with nature and all this kind of stuff. So those two are really doing their own thing. The thing I really liked about Horizon is that I'm a tech guy. I like gadgets. I like robots. I like guns. I like that type of stuff in games. So to take something that looks like Primal and then add in these, like, Matrix ass looking animals and you get to hunt them down and rip their batteries out of them and shit like that, like that, my head exploded when I saw that trailer because I was like, this looks so fucking cool. And the best part is that trailer had just enough mystique where it was just like, I want to know more. I have to know where this world came from and what the hell's going on, because it's like, why is there a brontosaurus that looks like a future skyscraper? And why am I hunting with a bow and arrow in animal skins? Like,
it's Futurama's Clockwork Origin.
Yeah. Oh wow, yes. Wow, that's a great reference.
Yeah, that's an excellent
That's
reference.
all it is.
Wow.
But yeah, go ahead. So,
yeah, no, I agree. You know, it's interesting because I'm not a huge Killzone fan, but I've always appreciated Guerrilla Games' talent. Like, I play a bit of a Killzone game. Like, I don't want to play this, but I really appreciate what I'm looking at and what I'm playing. Like, I play as well. It's really cool. It looks awesome. It just, for whatever reason, didn't capture my attention.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're making this kind of open world style action RPG with a really interesting story, a fantastic looking world, I am just like, oh man, this is so up my alley. And I really love that such a talented studio is doing something that I feel like I would be really interested in.
And one of the things I have to give it to them on, like, if nothing else, it's an original IP.
Yes.
Thank you, Guerrilla. It's
exactly
original.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of something. Like, it's
0.
Yeah, it's 0. It's before 1.
Yes, there are 0 dawns given. Yeah, no, it looks so interesting. The character looks interesting. I'm really interested to hear what her story is and what her connection is to the other tribes. And I cannot wait to see what the ruined cities look like. I cannot wait to see what you get into that area.
Oh, and the crazy shit that's going to be hunting you when you go in those cities. Like,
absolutely.
I guarantee there's going to be something slinking in the shadows.
Oh, for sure. and just them showing the variety of ways to take down the Thunderjaw.
Yeah.
I love that they're going to have really, like, just kind of so on the nose names for these creatures.
Yeah.
But
it's how, like, a prehistoric person would have named something. They just take, adjectives, and it's like, well, that's what it is.
Yes, it's got a jaw, and it's real loud.
And it's thunderous, so yeah.
Yeah, and just seeing the variety of enemies that you're going to face. And again, I love the idea of worrying about going into a cityscape and worrying about what might be hunting you. That's just the possibilities are so huge for this game right now.
Yeah, it's just so creative in how it goes about. And as long as they make it feel living, then that's the big part of it. Like, you go into this game and it feels like it's a living planet, then you're like, wow, I'm immersed.
And one of the other things, I'm sure they're going to nail it because it is what appears to be a core part of the game. But the takedowns of the animals, everything from shooting the little antelope-looking thing with a bow and arrow to taking down a Thunderjaw with grappling hooks and and shooting it in its heart and tearing its armor off and stuff like that. If that stuff plays as well as it does in that trailer, as it does when we get our hands on it, like, for the first time, it is going to be truly spectacular. That is going to take me back to my childhood of, like, wrapping up an AT-AT in, like, Shadows of the Empire, or taking down a Colossus in Shadow of the Colossus. If it is that visceral feel of this, you feel the weight and the strength of that beast, and you feel that takedown when it finally falls to Earth and you get to harvest it or whatever. Yeah. If they nail the feel of that, this is going to be a truly, truly amazing game.
And just because of its nature as a hunting game, too, if they get if they can help nurse your creativity in how you take these things out.
Yeah, multiple different ways to stealth kill or run and gun.
If they can nurse your creativity in doing that, then they're just going to have, like, a hit on their hands.
My dream for that kind of thing would be, again, like, it just, if you talk to different people or see, like, cave paintings, something like that, to give you hints on how to take something down. Yeah. Or somebody's just like, hey, so you had trouble against the lightning lizard. Maybe, like, have you tried grabbing grappling hooks, or then you try that and it doesn't work, right, or something like that, and somebody's just like, "Oh, I can't believe you talked to that person."
I just saw something awesome.
God!
Demon Soul style multiplayer cave paintings.
Oh my god! If only.
So then you just like fucking see paintings in the cave, and this is how I should take them out.
Yeah.
It's like that would be so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd see a million dicks on the wall. Everyone would draw, but whatever.
Inevitable.
So yeah, there we go. So that's that would be like next to Mankind Divided. I think Horizon Zero Dawn is one of those top tier games that I'm most excited for.
Yeah.
So I
choose your one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to Final Fantasy 15. God damn it. This game was shown initially when I was 19 years old, and as Final Fantasy Versus 13. I am 28 now.
And 28. Aren't you excited you could say that now?
It's weird. It's a weird thing to say. I am though. But
I'm 28.
I'm 28. But like it's been almost not 10 years, guys. And at this point, I should be just annoyed and just don't care anymore. But I am just so curious about what this game's going to be, because when this game was initially released, it was going to be an action RPG. Just for comparison's sake, let's just say like similar enough in some ways to say Kingdom Hearts, right?
Or like Dirge of Cerberus or something.
Yeah, and it's going to be a fully fledged action RPG with a somewhat open world. And it'll likely be segmented and stuff like that into segments. But I mean, like the idea that you'd be traversing a world that's a little less linear than, say, like that feels like less like cordoned off maps than as opposed like something like Final Fantasy 12, or less linear as opposed to something like Final Fantasy 10 or Final Fantasy 13. Like it's going to feel like a Final Fantasy game where there's a map going on, and there's modes of traversal, and there's a sweeping storyline. Granted, again, the characters look like a boy band, which I both love and hate at the same time. It's a weird feeling I've got going with this. But the game, there's just so many questions up in the air. Even after playing the demo that was available, and I played through that thing multiple times, and it's a lot of fun. And again, I'm seeing the potential so much there. It's really cool how you can essentially make your own combo based on what order of weapons that you use, and depending on where in the combo you use the weapon, it'll have different moves, and depending on what weapons you have equipped, you'll have access to different special abilities. Now, the tracking on such abilities and stuff like that was still a little iffy in the demo. I'm sure they'll tighten that up, but they added in cool things like the I can't even remember what it's called, but it's basically this team attack system where if you attack an opponent and then your partner and you stand in a certain area, one of your partner characters will attack at the same afterward, and then you can tag team off of that and do a really cool finisher at the end.
Okay.
Coupled with the things that look very similar to Kingdom Hearts 2's reaction commands, where it showed like you doing a team attack with two or three other characters in your party with this really stylish attack combo that you're doing to a massive enemy, and then land the final attack with a large amount of damage. And even the demo showed some really interesting stuff. Granted, it was very, very, a bit linear the way they did it, but hunting down the behemoth, where you actually had to do a semi-stealth section for one part, and you had to follow it to an area where you tried trapping it. Didn't work, so you had to fucking fight it. And it murders the shit out of you, so you're like, okay, that was horrible, we're too weak, let's go find something else so we can beat it. And that's when you go into this really cool cave area with a bunch of fucking goblins and find a summon there, right?
Okay.
So it looks like they're able to do a lot of interesting things. The storyline right now I know nothing about, very little.
I think they're trying to keep
it which I'm okay with. But it looks like they can do a bunch of really interesting things with the with the actual gameplay loop here. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, one of the things that really sold me on it was that I liked the new direction that they went in with this kind of action RPG almost. Like, you get into that battle sequence, but you are physically running around and, like, handling the different characters and their different attacks and everything. And so that part, like made me really want to try it, because it was something a little bit different. Because I do like Final Fantasy games, but again, with like 7 still being one of my favorite, I liked that world, and 15 feels like it's in that world almost, because it is more future tech with some medieval hints in it. And because when I saw the characters for the first time, like, all of these guys look fucking awesome, because it's like, if I made a party out of like Final Fantasy VII characters, it's like that's what I would have made. It would have been like Cloud and Reno and Rude and Sid and like all like the badass guys with the spiky hair. Like that's what my whole party would have looked like. So for them to come along in 15 and basically give me that, it's like, there we go. That's the party I would have fucking made anyways. And then the fact that the main guy, I don't remember what his name is.
Noctis.
Noctis, yeah. So Noctis has, again, like a very Cloud-esque kind of thing going on with the multi-sword attack, but they float around him and he like uses almost like mental attacks to make them like fly around and slash people. I thought that was so fucking awesome. And then a bunch of his buddies have like different guns and stuff like that. I'm like, this is it. This is the party I would have made. This is exactly how I would have designed it. So that got me super excited because they basically designed this game the way I would have designed a Final Fantasy. So it has the characters I like, it has the weapon style I like, it's an action RPG, it's the kind of neo-tech noir future look, and yeah, it just has all of that style and all that play to it, and that's why I'm like really excited for it. That and the fact that in that action RPG element, there are gigantic enemies, like Shadow of the Colossus size enemies. And that really got me excited for it too, because it's like, I like that sense of scale when you're fighting something, and you can't just walk up and like cut it in the toe 10 times and it dies. Like, you actually have to do stuff to take it down and everything. So yeah, it's I'm definitely excited for that one. It looks really awesome.
I just really like the whole modern day feel to it as well, where it's like, oh, you got city streets, you got like skyscrapers and crazy things like that, like things you see
Slick black
walking through
slick black cars,
right?
and like
but like the big thing about that I really like is that they could just like go balls crazy with the story and do something like just totally unexpected, like have zero magic or anything, and everything's like legitimately based on like some sort of weird technology.
Yeah, it could literally all be like nanobots and shit like that.
Oh, I hope not nanomachines.
Not nanomachines, but like you can do cool things with that.
Oh, for sure.
It's just like just seeing that's kind of interesting that they'd make such a fantasy based game in reality as well. Yeah. So that's kind of the thing that I'm most excited to see how it works out in this game. So.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention, because this does make me sad that just because like there are no female playable characters, like I Final Fantasy.
Yet.
Well,
I think there's only gonna be the 4.
Yeah, I'm pretty from what they've said. We don't know for sure, but yeah, from what I can tell, it's likely going to be the 4, because generally Final Fantasy, except for like maybe one, their gender was never defined, and then 3, the originals, they were all specifically boys, but generally they had usually an equal mix of male and female characters, and they all were equally interesting. Well, I mean, maybe not Yuffie so much, but they're all pretty.
There were some there way.
Well, generally there were bad male characters too. Like there were bad ones in both camps, but like there were generally like equally as important and equally as interesting, and equally as deep in this and that. So it's kind of a shame. Like I understand that they're going for a guy's road trip kind of thing, but I would have loved if they had like at least a couple female.
It's one of those things they probably just didn't want to shoehorn it in there.
Well,
they wrote a story, it fit what it was. They're not going to listen to people crying out and cram women into it where they just weren't written in the first place.
Yeah, but see, that's one thing that I will always argue about, because they could have, if they wanted to, they didn't have to shoehorn in. They could have just made them in and made them characters. Maybe one of the characters is awkward around women. That could be a funny plot point. Or they're just like, dude, like, just knock it off. She's like, so what if she's a girl? She's here. She's one of us. Yeah. Or, like, I feel like...
they look like a boy band. One of them might actually be a chick.
Sure, maybe that's the case. Who knows? Maybe it turns out Prompto's actually a lady, and we never knew. But, like I said, I just feel like they didn't have to shoehorn it. I feel like it was always so natural for Final Fantasy, I don't think it would have been shoehorned. And those writers for the better Final Fantasy games have great stories, have great, cool female characters that are just there, and it's not, like, weird or anything. It just makes sense, so I wish that was the case, but...
For this one, the 4 characters thing being locked into those 4 was essentially... Probably the idea was to build a deeper connection with those 4 in particular.
Yeah, exactly. They've said why many times.
But the whole all-guys thing, although here... females may complain about it, but like over there in Japan, females are probably like, "Fuck yeah,
yeah, no."
Like, I just want to play a bunch of guys.
I love their boy bands. I mean, I can only speak for myself.
Literally over there, guys are complaining that there's no girls in it because they want to play as girls.
It's a cultural. It's a definite cultural difference.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like Oh,
sorry.
No. I said I can only speak for myself. Like, I mean, I do know there are women, that are disappointed about that. But as far as for me, it's just like, that's just kind of a shame. And then the other thing, again, I love the character designs for, like, I'm such a sucker for Tetsuya Nomura. I wish the characters had a little bit more differentiation of their color, just because one of the best things I love about Final Fantasy games is that characters have such a different silhouette and such different colorful looks. While their actual outfits are quite different when you look at them, but from the distance they look really similar. Like, you can tell they're different characters for the height and their build, but just like you look at them head on, I'm just like you can't tell too much variation in the outfits. Which is kind
this
of
guy's wearing a Gucci, that guy's wearing an Armani. Do you not see this?
You're right, Gary. My untrained eye cannot see this.
Your untrained eye.
But yeah, I mean, again, small quibbles. I'm going to play the game, definitely. First day purchase for me.
Yeah. Don't pre-order it, or I will slap you.
I'm not going to. There's no reason to. Oh, God. But you can't. You have full
until another 3 months, and then they'll say, pre-order now and get this.
No, generally those...
Pre-order now and get a female playable character.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that.
You can't see it, but I'm flipping off Gary. No, again, like, the pre-orders for content, stuff like that, I never pre-order. If it's like pre-order and you get more content, I'm like, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
Beta tempting?
Alright, Gary, what you gonna gush on there?
Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I knew it.
Now, is this guaranteed for 2016?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, that's good. That makes me happy.
So, I don't know if you guys have ever played that other game by this company. I forgot.
No, I heard about it, but I don't really know, like, is it kind of the same idea? It's geocaching?
Almost. It's like, it's land capture based on, like, how far your grids are and stuff. Like, you can, like, form a grid and you essentially capture the land, so... As you're doing that, people are, like, knocking down your posts and stuff. So, you have to build, like, 3 of them or something to make a triangle before, like, someone knocks down your other ones.
Or
things like that. And you work as, like, teams and squads and stuff like that. But they could just do so much with Pokemon at this point and make it just interactive, like... Oh, God.
It's a dream come true. It's
literally,
actually a dream come true.
Because it's Pokemon and because these guys know what they're doing, because they built this geocaching type game, the sky's the limits as far as Pokemon goes. The only thing that I'm kind of worried about, but I shouldn't worry about it because, again, it's these guys know what they're doing. But I don't want it to just be, oh, I've got my cell phone. I'll walk over here. I got this Pokemon. Okay, it's in my collection now. Oh, and then, like, you can kind of battle it, and then it's just going to be like, the old Pokemon games where it's a static image, and you just have some stats and stuff. It's like, if they're going to make a Pokemon game, smartphones are advanced enough now that they can use fully 3D graphics and everything like that. Like, make it look like a new Pokemon game. I want to see fully 3D rendered Pokemon on my smartphone, and I want to be able to battle Nadu and Gary... and kick the shit out of them with my Kingler.
I'd like to see you find a crab in Winnipeg.
I want...
I can go to the beach.
This is true. I want my smartphone to become a fully fledged Pokédex.
Yeah.
I want that.
That's the other side of it, too, is that because it's smartphone and because it's going to be never-ending, like, Pokemon orgy here.
Oh, for sure.
It needs that fully interactive, like, Pokemon, like, Pokedex, and, oh, man, fucking awesome.
I need to be able to go through, like, my Pokemon, see their stats, see the descriptions, be able to hear the sounds they make. I need to be looking at my inventory, what potential items, like, who knows, maybe you'll be able to find items and stuff like that, too. Need to be able to look at those, see what they do. I need,
and, like, where's the Poke Center going to be? Like...
In my house.
In your house, shit.
Everybody bring your Pokemon.
It's actually just he's Team Rocket. It's just an ambush. It's a fake center.
You should charge admission.
He's going to charge admission and he's going to steal your Pokemon. He's actually Team Rocket.
So, even if this isn't the game that I want it to be, as long as it's anything like Pokemon Snap in real life, then I will do that too, because... Fuck the world, I love Pokemon.
No, there's a lot of people who just... They didn't even need Pokemon Go. They literally just said, give me Pokemon Snap on a smartphone.
Yeah.
Where I would just take pictures of augmented reality Pokemon in the wild. and they would just lose their shit over that too. So who knows? Maybe they'll have something like that too.
Take a selfie.
Maybe when you find it,
it'll
be augmented reality, and it's like if you don't want to catch it, you can just snap a picture of it or something.
Oh
like
my God,
you never because did you see the new Star Wars app that they brought out?
No.
It's a free app you can download on your phone, and you find any flat surface. And it's an augmented reality thing where you can throw up like BB-8 or Stormtrooper, and it goes through your camera, and it's an interactive little character that is in augmented reality. So it'll just be on whatever surface, like the coffee table here.
Oh yeah, they had that with Miku a while ago.
Yeah, so it's the same idea. But if they can do that with a free app, to do this with like a paid Pokemon game with like billions of dollars in investments. Like, they could totally do that. I think that would be fucking amazing.
I feel like it's not going to be a full-fledged game like you think it is. Because it's still Nintendo's IP. So I assume it's going to be like... almost like... Do you remember those Heart Gold and Soul Silver, like, pedometer things?
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
It'll almost be like that, but you can interact with Pokemon just... all around instead of like, and you can do things with your Pokemon aside from playing the actual game, and when you come back to your game, you can like will have changed and things like that. So if they can do that, I would go buy a 3DS right now and fucking do that.
Oh my God,
that's worth it to me. But I feel like it's more gonna be like a game in itself, but it's gonna be a companion app at the same time. So it's not like a full-fledged, like, I can battle anything.
Well, and see, that would be kind of cool if it was a bit of a companion app. Like, do you remember the old Pikachu Tamagotchi?
Yeah.
Like, it was something like that where you can, like, take care of them a bit or feed them or kind of play with them and stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool.
Or you walk around and they gather items, they find a fucking Master Ball for you.
Yeah, like shit like that.
All sorts of shit. Like, that would be great.
But that's the whole point, is that it's Pokemon, there's money behind it, sky's the limit.
Yeah,
there you can do so many different things with it. So it'll be really cool to see what happens.
Yeah.
I hope they, like, from what I can tell, they're doing, like, the raid battle system that they do in, like, card games. But we'll see what it actually ends up being. But there's a lot of potential, and that's all I care about right now.
Oh, boy.
So,
that's a good one.
You guys want to just throw up, like, 3 notable honorable mentions each?
Yeah,
without
totally.
talking about them at all, just, like, fucking throw them out there?
Yeah, that's what I was planning on
sure.
doing. Here, give me 2 seconds. Just bring my list up. Okay, so 3 notable mentions, because either I've talked about them before, or it's literally just, it's going to be good, deal with it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Mighty Number 9.
Yep.
Nothing else needs to be said about that. I have to play it. I would have to say Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
Because, holy shit, fucking amazing game, so it deserves a second one.
Yes.
And, I'm gonna go with The Last Guardian.
Yeah,
Nice.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Because again, like we've talked about that one multiple
It's
times.
another one we've been waiting.
Everyone
forever.
knows how epic it is. Like
Yeah.
it's just it has to be played.
Cool. Okay, so my 3. Let's see. Okay, so I've got No Man's Sky. I don't care if it's just a space Walmart simulator where you scan things forever. I didn't
Wait,
know
what? Space Walmart simulator?
Well, just cause people often make fun of like
Let's just leave it at that.
Okay,
Space Walmart
Space
Simulator.
Walmart
Next
Simulator.
one.
scan all the things, scan them all forever. I'm okay with this. Let's see. You know what? Star Citizen. Not even because I want to play it so much more as I want to know what the fuck it is. I just need to know. I just need to know.
It's 4X game on steroids. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and it looks like that, and I'm just like, what? Okay. And then I also, you know what? I gotta go with Firewatch. Firewatch looks really fucking interesting, and I don't care if it's a walking simulator. It looks beautiful, and it looks like it's intriguing. So yeah,
I think that one's gonna have a really twisted story. To
I
think it needs to, because it doesn't look like it has a lot of gameplay per se. It just, I think it's gonna be one of those ones that's very engrossing.
Absolutely.
All right, I've got Dragon Quest Builders.
Oh, you know what? I completely forgot about that
Fuck,
one.
does that game look fun?
Fuck yeah, that one. Like every time I see a new trailer or a new bit of gameplay, it's like I think I really need to play this. Like,
let's go with Atelier Sophie.
No, of course.
Fuck.
Yeah. Hey, no worries, man.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Okay.
And let's say
Uncharted 4.
Yeah, let's say Uncharted 4. That's a good one.
Because
they'll make me seem less pervy than the other ones will.
Oh! Sure.
I'm just gonna slide another one in here under the radar.
Yeah. Okay, go.
Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Nice.
Because holy shit, I enjoyed the first game so much that now it's just like a newly advanced version of that game. So
totally dropped the ball on that one, but yeah, this game Catalyst looks great. Okay, so I guess I have got a couple of maybe just a couple other questions.
Yep.
You guys want to go with that? Sure,
yeah.
Excellent. So this one's a little interesting. I could start with this. You guys need to think. But what are some trends you noticed in gaming during 2015? What did you like about gaming 2015? What would you like to see change?
Okay, well, I actually wrote notes, so I can do that.
Me too.
Okay, excellent.
We're all ready.
Yeah,
nice.
we're professional.
I love this.
We're
This is so nice.
People did research.
Okay, so my notes, I had to title them.
Uh-huh.
So I unfortunately had to title my notes as 2015, the year I didn't get to game. So unfortunately this year, as you've heard in some of the podcasts and stuff like that, I still have yet to get a PS4 because of our personal financial crisis, not the overall financial crisis. But no, it was because my wife wasn't working for a while and we had to catch up on bills and shit like that. So we're starting to get back in the black, but we're still getting to that point where it's just like, okay, we can afford our food, we can afford our bills now and stuff like that. So now we need to save up, $300 or $400 or whatever to get an actual PS4 now. And my computer is really shitty, so I don't buy a lot of high-end games on that or anything. So basically, in over 2015, it's kind of good and bad because the bad part is I didn't get to experience a lot of gaming this year because I didn't have the systems or I didn't have the money for it or whatever. And some of, there's been some spoilers and shit like that, but you know what? I'm still going to go back and play them. So I have this giant-ass list that I have to write down of all these amazing games that I have to go back and experience for myself. But the good part is that a lot of those games are going to be old now, so they will be super cheap to buy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll be able to buy a whole bunch of them all at the same time and actually fire
wholesale
through them. So yeah, like as far as 2015 goes, so you're talking about trends and everything like that. One of the main trends that we've seen this year, and I think was not only to be expected, but it was going to happen one way or another. Not only more female main characters in games or more female characters in games, but just more diverse characters in general. There's still the typical, like, you have your Gears of War, your Halo, like, all that kind of stuff, big, tough space marine, white guy with a mohawk kind of thing. Yeah. But aside from that, I mean, we've seen a lot of diversity in characters in games in this. Like, there's Until Dawn that has, like, the ridiculous cast of, like, the scared teenagers. We have beautiful games like the episodic, what's the one, the teenage girl with the
Life is Strange.
Yes. Life is Strange. You have that. You have stuff like the continuation of like the Walking Dead, Telltale games. Yeah, all these amazing story-based games with these like very creative, different characters in them and everything. It just shows that as the years go on, gaming is becoming way more diverse, and game companies are listening to what we're saying. Except when it comes to pre-order bullshit, but we should do a whole show about that.
We will.
But yeah, so as long as along with diversity comes along open-ended gaming. Yes. And with open-ended gaming, we're talking about kind of sandbox type games. Yeah. So that's another thing I really like to see, because the game that really opened up sandbox style gaming was, of course, I would say Grand Theft Auto 3 for PS2. That one really showed us that we can have a solid game with solid mechanics, but really have an open living world around you. You don't have to have a few linear hallways or like a little chunk of a town to explore or something like that. You can have a giant breathing city on something even like a PS2 and make it totally enjoyable, make it a solid gaming experience. So now that 2015 is almost over and we're in the era of the Xbox One and the PS4 and amazing gaming rigs, the fact that so many more games are going this way is not a bad thing. I think it's an excellent thing, because even though games are becoming more expensive and they take longer to play and everything like that, they're giving us more options. As long as the game dev makes the game properly and actually uses that open world, I think it's an amazing thing to have it in there, because you do get those options of maybe different ways of attacking a mission, or hidden stuff, or making side quests more interesting, because it isn't just go here and talk to this guy. Like, there's so many more options because of that open world that's around you. And I don't even mean like just Grand Theft Auto-esque kind of city stuff. I mean, you can go with future, like Star Citizen. That's an entire galaxy. Or you can go with something more simplistic, like The Witcher, or The Witcher 3, because it's all medieval fantasy, but it's still an open world, and you can go talk to all those people. You can do all those side quests, and it really, the whole world in that game feels very baked in. Like, it's very well done. It's it's very well fleshed out. And then along trends in 2015 that I didn't like was it's just this ever-growing shadow cloud of pre-order stuff and DLC robbing. Like, when you release a game, or when a AAA developer releases a game and they show that nice flashy trailer and everything like that, 99% of the time now, at the end of that, it's going to have the picture slate of like the cover art or a giant thing, and it's pre-order now to get this, or pre-order
or season pass,
or get this season pass to unlock this, or get this costume when you buy at Best Buy or something. It's just like, and the fact that is 99% of the time now is just, I almost cringe before the trailer ends. It's like, I want to shut it off before I see the end of the trailer now, because it happens every fucking time, and I'm just so sick of it. It's like, stop locking content out of the game, please. We are buying $80 games now. You can't do this anymore. Like, the fact that you want us to pay $80 for a brand new game that might give us 8 to 10 hours of gameplay, unless it's like an RPG, and then you're going to turn around sometimes day one and give us DLC that's actually on the disc, but it's locked. It's in silhouette or shadow or something like that, and says, go online to buy this now. And you want a $2 costume, you want a $5 level, you want a $10 character. It's like, go fuck yourself. Put that shit in the game. Make that game worth $80. It is not worth $80 if you're locking half the content out of it.
I actually feel like it's moved away from it actually being on the disc.
Well,
but
it depends. There's certain games that are really bad for that.
2 years ago, every single locked DLC was like on the disc already, but nowadays it's like you still have to download it. So,
well, I mean, games are going more digital, so it kind of makes sense with that too. But still, it's, I don't know, it's just such an insane piss off that that they have the gall to charge that much. And there's like, oh, well, games cost so much money to make. It's like, well, don't fucking spend so much on them. You're like Hollywood. You artificially inflate the price, and then you throw yourself out of business because of it. And it's the worst fucking business protocol ever. And I really hope that they start to quell that a little. It's like, give us more bang for our buck. We need to stop pre-ordering stuff. We need to stop paying $80 for games. And then, things will start to change. But until that day when gamers can unite to say, fuck you, EA, we're not buying your $80 bullshit and buying an $80 season pass for half the game that we should have got with the original $80 game.
Until season passes are...
until that day well, and that's the thing, is like, if you're going to sell an $80 game, make it an $80 game. You can sell me a season pass, but make it another $80 worth of content. Don't make an $80 game, cut it in half, put it online, and then charge me another $80 for the other half that I should have in the first place. Like, that's just fucking robbery straight up.
It's ridiculous.
It just saddens me as a gamer. So yeah, those are my trends though. It's nice to see diversity, it's nice to see open worlds, but fucking calm down with the DLC and the pre-orders.
I'm ready to.
Oh,
can I go?
Oh, and Rocket League Game of the Year 2015.
Awesome. Sure, Gary. Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
He's got the biggest smile on his face right now.
Yeah. For me, it was, this year was actually a year of nostalgia and, like, giving things a second chance.
Okay.
Whereas, like, We saw a lot of remasters, and like we even did a podcast on
That
remasters.
is true, yeah.
Like we saw a lot of remasters this year, and not even just that. We saw Kickstarters for games to come back, like games of franchises we thought were dead.
Yeah.
Shenmue even.
Shenmue and Psychonauts? What the hell?
Like, it's a year for giving things a second chance, and what I find fascinating about that is that even if the game itself isn't getting a second chance, those gameplay mechanics are like coming back in the form of indie games as well. Like indie games are bringing back things that they remember.
Well, and then you have people like doing Mighty Number 9, Bloodstained.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're getting the original creators of that content, but then they're doing their own flair, their own thing with it. So yeah.
So that was the big thing I noticed, and I in fact just love that because there's so many games I love, like so many old games that I just don't feel like I can go back to play anymore, especially because like I have to unhook all my shit and hook up new shit and things like that. So it's nice that things like Odin Sphere are still coming down the line, and and it just gives all players another chance to play these games. So I'm pretty excited. Aside from that, Steam games and indie games were like a lot bigger this year, I feel, than they
I think they grow
years.
every year. That's just Steam.
Yeah. It's becoming a monster.
Yeah.
It is nuts. I also noticed that like they've sort of moved away from the whole brown is realism thing.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Which is really nice.
Textures.
Color
like-
is definitely back in, and
Like
I love
we're
it.
seeing fun, colorful games now.
Yeah.
Hell,
Like,
even
especially Splatoon,
Yeah.
like that sort of thing.
even Fallout 4
Fallout
is
4,
colorful as
yeah.
opposed to the two before it.
Fallout 4 is a prime example of how times have changed in that type of
Exactly.
game design. Because I mean, granted, it's the apocalypse, it's a wasteland and stuff. That doesn't mean it needs to be gray and brown everywhere.
Oh yeah, there's even more reason that people would be dyeing shit with like random bright colors
Yeah.
at that sort of time.
Yeah.
So like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm really happy that brown is realism has disappeared. Well, not disappeared, but is
it's not as prevalent.
slipping by the waist, slipping by. I don't know. It's slipping away, which is nice.
It's really late. guys.
Because like fuck, I really hated that.
Yeah.
So, the only thing that I really would like to encourage that things to keep going is like graphics can really like make an art style pop nowadays. So, especially in the case of like Street Fighter 4 or No Man's Sky or something.
Street Fighter 5?
Or Street Fighter 5,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's okay, yeah.
Street Fighter 5 and No Man's Sky and those types of games where instead of just going hyper realistic, choose where to like use a specific art style.
Yeah.
Choose to use something different and make it pop in your own way now. Because hyperrealism is nice, but at the same time you can add odd aspects into hyperrealism and make something really cool, like Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can do things like that now. So just do it. It's a video game. It's not real life. Like
Yeah, that's exactly
Do
it
it.
too. It's
It's
just
fun.
like I think that's the problem is a lot of people get stuck on like even AAA titles like right from the get go. They're just like, oh, we're gonna make this game. It's based on this guy in space and all this stuff. And it's like they almost have it in their head right off the bat that it has to look like real life, and that's so not true because some of the most entertaining games
exactly.
look just not like real life at all. They look
Nothing
like
at all.
They look
Yeah.
like an oil painting
Like
or
look
a
at
sketch
Battleborn
drawing.
and those types of games too.
You look at
Fucking-
Battleborn with their like mutated looking bodies and faces, and a bunch of them aren't even human. You look at stuff like, well, this is going a bit older, but you look at stuff like Okami.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you have something gorgeous like that looks like a brush painting and everything. You look at something like what's that PS4 shooter that's coming up that looks like a kid's like scribble doodler.
Oh,
like,
Drawn to Death.
Yeah, Drawn to Death. Like
Yeah.
they don't need to look real to look amazing.
And like the only thing you really need is good aesthetic sense.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that is what I'm finding in games nowadays, which is nice because people are moving towards that aesthetic sense and using whatever they feel looks cool.
Look at something gorgeous like a newer one, Ori and the Blind Forest. Like that is that looks like a child's storybook, but it is just beautiful to look at.
Yeah. So I would just like encourage that in the future. That's what I'd like to see keep changing in that direction. Just do your own art style, make things pop, make things fun, make things unique, instead of whatever the fuck happened to Fuse.
Oh god, I was looking at old videos of Fuse today. That's interesting to bring that up. Right? It looks so interesting.
It is kind of funny to mention that because I was really sad when that game came out.
Yeah,
it was just like I was so excited
the initial
for
trailer.
It.
Yeah, you saw the first trailer and it was like, this is fun, this is unique.
I think that was one of those ones that just got choked out by the higher ups.
Yeah.
They basically said, you have less time, you have less money, all the people won't like this, do it this way.
Yeah.
And they did it, and it was just ended up being absolute garbage.
Yeah. Shame.
All right.
Okay, so for mine, I'm going to example of things that counter what you were saying. Because I'm going to complain about that as well.
Okay.
But one thing that proves that the sad thing is AAA companies, the companies that nickel and dime us the most, are the ones that are the biggest companies that don't need to do it. But we see things like Nintendo with Splatoon. We see CD Projekt Red with The Witcher 3. We see
Psyonix with Rocket League.
Rocket League. We
DLC
see
done right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And Diablo 3 with Blizzard.
Yep.
And other Blizzard properties like games as a service. Games as a service is when you pay the full price of a game and they keep supporting it afterward. With frickin' Splatoon, they kept getting and they may still be. I'm not following it as much anymore. They still are.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're getting ongoing support. Like every little while, there's new DLC released that's free. That's right in the game.
Levels, costumes, weapons. Like it. Yeah, they're. It's like they're building up the game more and more. Just like Rocket League is another prime example. Like hats off to Psyonix. Like they're doing it right because they offered up. They have the new arena, which was free, but then they charge like a little bit for the newer cars. Like they had the DeLorean, they had like the classic pack, which came from the rocket powered supercars or whatever.
Is that the Chaos Run pack?
The Chaos Run was the Wasteland one. There was the DeLorean and stuff like that. Like so, they charge for that stuff, but again. That comes down to cosmetics, which again that's what you're supposed to charge for because it doesn't change the game at all. And then everything else is free. So they have the Wasteland track, which is like a newer kind of thing. The Mutators were free. The hockey one that just came out today was free.
Yeah.
And then when they do have DLC, like those different cars and everything like that, they're charging like $3 and $4 for a couple cars and like wheels and stickers for them and like the antenna baubles and everything like that. If EA owned Rocket League, they would have given you like 3 arenas, 4 cars, and then we would have had to spend another $50 unlocking all the other content with a fucking season pass.
Yeah, fucking season pass is the thing I hate most.
Like you can go in and get every single thing that Rocket League has to offer right now on Steam. It'll cost you $45.
Yeah,
that's it for a full like balls to the wall version of the game, all the DLC, all of the levels, everything. Like $45. That is half the price of a brand new game, and you are going to get way more game hours out of it. You're going to get way more better like content. Like it is just, that is DLC and gaming done right there.
Oh, absolutely. And The Witcher also has like
that was another really good example.
Yeah, they do have DLC stuff that you pay for, and they actually did have a season pass as well. But if you didn't want to buy that right now, they've got constant patches, not only improving the game, listening to things that fans have issues with, but also they add in like just small new things as far as like slightly new abilities or tweaked abilities.
Well, that's the best part is that they tweak the game to make it better through and through as people are playing the game and you get that feedback. But when The Witcher 3 came out, they gave away 3 free DLCs before they charged for the 4th one.
I was gonna mention that. Like they just fucking did that because they're just like, and that is one of the few companies that's really forthright. And sure, people say, "Oh, it's good PR," or "Oh, it's just good PR." Yes, it's good PR.
You're
that's
damn
smart.
right, it's good PR.
Like, why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they tell people up front, "Hey, this is what we're trying to do. We like when people like our games." Like. I don't see why that's a bad thing.
You're looking at a game developer that is, in scale comparison, is a grain of salt compared to EA. And they are rocking them left, right, and center with how you should fucking run a gaming company.
Absolutely. And again, I don't need to talk too much more about how Diablo 3 has been improved and supported, and even just they're releasing a new pack that has a completely new area called Grey Hollow, and you don't have to pay for that. That's going to be if it's not available now, it's going to be available very soon. So these are prime examples of games as a service in the way it's a way that I feel is very customer focused. And I think large, big budget companies like Ubisoft and EA can learn from these examples and start to do this. And I feel like, again, those companies are the ones that could most benefit from doing it because, Konami too, honestly, if they still make games.
If they ever make a big game again.
Because Metal Gear Solid, I love that franchise. It actually, the in-game purchases and all the DLC crap and it's just stuff in that game actually takes away from my enjoyment, and it is painful. It's actually hard for me to pick up that game and play right now because that stuff is so front and center and it makes me sad just to see it.
I can't believe you'd ever say that about Metal Gear game.
I never expected to say this either.
Yeah, we also never expected to have a Metal Gear Solid game that was riddled with DLC
and missing a third of it.
Well, you have to fucking buy the tuxedo. You never buy the tuxedo in Metal fucking Gear Solid. No, you unlock that shit.
You earn it. I'm
sorry.
That tuxedo.
I am very upset.
Right, so what would you like changed?
Okay, anyway. But yeah, so that is... So that I'm just saying that's a really great example. Yeah. Another thing that I noticed, and just to again, sorry to echo.
No, please, because they were common themes. Yeah. So I thought Gary was going to have the same ones, but he actually came up with some new stuff. So good on you.
No, absolutely. But with diversity of game characters, but also diversity of games, because one thing that I love about gaming right now is there is something for every single person who could ever be interested in trying a game. There is so much stuff. To mention to you guys. Recently, I played Sybil, which is a game by Nina Freeman, which I a few years ago I never would have ever thought of. This is a browser game where you click around on her browser because you're essentially her, right? Okay. You click around on her browser and look at pictures that she's taken with her friends. These are all actual pictures or things that she's drawn, and then of course the more made up stuff is conversations like chat logs between her and her friends. So you start to and you can do that stuff if you want. You don't have to. You could just click on the simulated MMO that she's playing where she's talking to this guy named Ichi who is kind of a douche, but she clearly likes him, and it's clearly the first kind of intimate relationship she's had. So, and seeing that change, and it's very voyeuristic to the point where I was really uncomfortable, and I was like, man, what am I playing this? But I'm like, no, this is okay. This is experiences that I will never understand, and I can never fully appreciate, but I can at least gain a bit of appreciation for a young woman who's experienced something that and me as a male will never experience. And I'm like, that's okay. Yeah. That's interesting. There's so many different games out there these days. I love that. I love that there's so much stuff that I would never ever want to play, but somebody else who likes it can play it. Oh God. Good Lord. Yes.
Yeah, so if you ever want to experience babysitting a child that's trying to eat batteries and drink poison, who's your daddy?
I do want to play that.
Just released an alpha, which is sitting on my desktop right now. So there's shit like that, or you do have great games like The Witcher 3, or you have the episodic, very interesting story telling of stuff like Tales from the Borderlands or Life is Strange.
There's ridiculous dating sims like Had a Full Boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
Really
which
popular.
is still bringing out new DLC and everything.
That's getting very big.
Absolutely. So I think this year more than any before it has just been, and again, I'm hoping we keep seeing this going on and on. We'll keep that ball rolling. Keep bringing us interesting games because there's something for everybody. We can have our brotastic space shooters, but we can also have our really interesting story-based stuff. We can have really diverse characters, really diverse stories. We can have it all. We don't have one doesn't negate the other.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. One thing that I'd like to see change, and again, a lot of that stuff with the DLC and large companies nickel and diming us, but I also want to see a little bit more consumer focused when it comes to these AAA companies. And it's easy for me to say that because, again, I'm a consumer. I don't work at these companies. But I feel like a lot of the things they do, not just their DLC, but just the way these games are marketed and the way these games are shown, and like even the UI with those DLC, like, hey, just buy the season pass. Well, it's beeping right there the whole time in front of you. Like freaking Dark Knight not Dark Knight, Arkham Knight has that. And I just want to see a little bit less of that because these games, like the consumers are still the people that make these games big. And I feel like it's really important now because companies can kind of keep going this direction. But I feel like, again, there's going to be, the bubble's going to pop at some point. I feel like they can't or shouldn't keep doing this because if they are a little bit more consumer focused, you won't have people booing Konami at a Game Awards. Like, again, it's somewhat, like, I feel somewhat vindicated and a little bit cathartic to see and hear that. But at the same time, I'm not happy about that because I don't want people to be booing Konami. I want people to be like, man, Konami's awesome. I love how they're doing Metal Gear. I love Castlevania. That is not, I feel like that's something that as far as Konami goes, maybe they're too far gone. But
they're pretty far gone by now.
Exactly. But let's see companies like Ubisoft, who still has the heart of the fans in some fashion. Like they've got Rayman, they've got Assassin's Creed. Guys, you've got awesome properties there. Syndicate, you're taking some awesome steps in the right direction. I don't care for Assassin's Creed, but I can appreciate what they've done for games, and I can appreciate how much people love them. Let's see more of that. Let's see you come closer back to where you were before. Let's see more stuff like Rayman. Let's see more stuff like Valiant Hearts. Let's see you do AAA stuff, but also do smaller stuff as well. And let's see more of that consumer focus where you're not nickel and dime people for DLC. We're not opening a treasure chest and seeing, oh, if you want to see what's in this treasure chest, get the DLC. Or if you want to unlock these characters,
that pisses me off.
Exactly. And that was in Assassin's Creed Unity.
Like you shouldn't even see that stuff.
It's like, don't try to sell me a fucking game when I already own the game. Like, that's the worst fucking part of it.
I'm fine with seeing that stuff on the store, because then you're like, oh yeah, maybe I want that.
Make the store separate.
But don't put that in the fucking game.
Oh, for sure. And one other thing, and this flies a bit in the face considering I'm wanting Overwatch. So I feel like Overwatch is specifically built as a Team Fortress 2 style game. So maybe this isn't it, but stuff like Rainbow Six Siege, when people bought that, again, that's another game people are like, this doesn't feel like a full game.
Yeah.
If you, sure, multiplayer focus is great, but when it's a franchise like Rainbow Six, that's, very specifically tactical and is based on single player games, or even Call of Duty. Granted, I think the latest campaign for Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is supposed to be pretty good. I'm not sure. I never really into it.
I've definitely heard some mixed things about it.
Okay.
I literally, I'll put this out there. Because I was kind of interested in that one just because, again, I like Cyberpunk, I like augmented reality and like all that kind of stuff. So that is a very broad theme in that one because of the augmented soldiers and stuff like that. So I was kind of interested in it. But I did some research and I saw this video of this one level and I was just like, nope, I'm not buying this game if this is the little bit of care that they took to make it. But it was a level where you're on the top turret gun of a tank or some kind of APC or something like that. And when the guy was playing, he was like, it was like this big action movie sequence. So you're like driving down this hill and the tank's going up and down on these bumps and there's like these like VTOL type of helicopter airplane things flying in, gunning stuff down. There's big explosions. It's very, very movie action-esque. But the guy in the driver's seat is only, oh, shoot him, turn right. It's oh, hit that target. So it's not only yelling these directions at you, but the guy was he was shooting these things, but he realized he was shooting them less and less, and then he just stopped shooting.
And then nothing changed.
The level finished itself, and he did not kill a single thing for 3/4 of the level. So the APC, while it's driving along, these things that are driving up the road, the VTOLs that are flying in, the guys that are shooting at them and stuff, all the explosions are going off, the things run off the road. So it's almost reacting to where the player would kind of shoot, and then just happen anyways. So if you don't shoot, it happens anyways. Yeah. So the level finished itself. And I was just Christ. Really? Is that what gaming's come to?
Oh, God.
I know that people complain that gaming has kind of become an interactive movie, but that's a little too.
That's too far.
That's a little too far
Gone
into
too
that.
far.
I'm a fan
gosh.
of cinematics. I play Metal Gear Solid.
Yes.
I'll sit and watch that because I have the gaming sections in between, and I get to be that character at that time.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the cinematics taking it away and telling me that story. There's a lot of people who have the problem with that, but whatever. That's their deal, not mine.
Yeah.
But this is a whole nother thing. When the
Yeah.
level plays itself, it's like, why are you fucking playing in the first place?
No, absolutely, and that's actually that good. Well, it very much supports my point. Then,
Yeah.
don't forget about the single player. Like, if a game is going to be multiplayer focused, make sure that it is a full game. I feel like Overwatch is going to be that. We've got games like Team Fortress 2, or even MOBAs and stuff like that, Smite and games like that, which are all multiplayer. And when you do purchase the game or download the game with in-game purchases that are mostly aesthetic, those are still full games. But games like Rainbow Six, where it's just like, okay, here's our mainly multiplayer game, and here's our single player. Shoot some really poor AI guys and see how many points you can get.
Yeah.
Or when it's this game, when it's Black Ops 3, where it's just like, just ride the tank and do the thing and don't worry
Just
about anything.
blops.
Yeah.
Just do the cod blops. Like,
All right.
no, that's okay. Just don't again, if you're going to do multiplayer focus, you better damn well give people a $60 to $80 game's worth of multiplayer. There better be a diversity of modes. There better be games continuing as a service. There better be interesting. It better not be just pay to win.
Yeah, because
but-
I mean, the thing with your pre-order, even though I'm not a fan of pre-order and everything like that,
I think I'm a sucker for it.
The difference is that you didn't get pre-order to get costumes or a level or something like that.
Yeah.
You did pre-order to increase your chances of getting in the beta tenfold, which is that's more reasonable than doing it to get a costume or something that you could get in a couple months anyways, probably. And also the fact that how much did you pay for your pre-order?
Well, the game, full game is $60.
Okay, so you did the full game then?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the $40 tier then?
The $40 tier, I'm not really sure. I think it's just the base game without any of the extra costumes or extra aesthetic stuff.
Oh, okay.
This one, the $60 game has the all the costumes, and I think there's some bonus stuff when it comes to character descriptions and story stuff and cinematics and music.
So you're getting a little more content that, but it's not game breaking or game changing.
No. If you got the $40 one, you just as well off as the person who gets the $60 one or the $100 but collector's edition.
Yeah, and see the difference again between that is that they've not only given you an option of how to buy into it, it's not an $80 game.
Yeah.
So they didn't charge you $80 for it.
$60 is the same price I played for Diablo 3, and I would never take that back. And again, I've seen them. Based on good customer service and good games of service, I trust that they will do what they did again with this game.
Yeah.
I would never pre-order something blindly and just for.
I think they've put enough hype into this one that they kind of have to make it.
Been watching
successful
Overwatch videos every day. The worst.
All right.
But yeah, so anyway, I guess that kind of finishes off what I was saying. So.
And game of the year.
Oh,
are we doing that?
I don't know. I said my game of the year, so I figure it's only fair that you.
Oh shit! I don't even have one.
Oh gosh, it's Bloodborne, I guess.
Yeah.
If I just pick one off the top of my head, but I think
just
that's safe.
top of your head, Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Bloodborne.
Yeah.
That's a solid guess.
Excellent. So we'll just finish off. We'll quickly kind of go over what we've been doing nerdy this week. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, not too much nerdy this week. I finally got to dive into my Rocket League on Steam because
Awesome.
I haven't been as busy recently, so I got to do that. Playing some Sims 4 on my stream. And and as I told you guys earlier, I got to finally watch John Wick, which is go watch that movie.
It's so freaking good.
It is absolutely amazing, and I'm so excited that they're making a second one.
Yeah, I've watched it twice already.
So definitely go watch that, and play Rocket League.
Cool.
So that was my week.
Excellent. Gary?
I started playing an MMORPG.
Ooh.
It's called Devilian.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. Sort of Diablo style. It's free
It
to
looks
play.
like
for
crazy
now.
anime Diablo, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I might check that one out. It looks neat.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about it yet, but we'll see. I literally only started yesterday, so
Is it a cheaper game or is it?
it's free to play, but there's these packs that you buy for random shit. I don't know.
Yeah. Crystals.
So
Of
yeah,
course.
things like that.
Crystals and coins,
Whatever.
and diamonds, and
I don't even care.
If it's fun enough to play on its own, then that's cool.
Yeah. And aside from that, watched Spectre today. It's a good movie. Not too much else. That's about it.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Let's see. So for me, I've been playing a lot of Until Dawn. That game is just great. I love it. It's ridiculous. It's funny because I won't go into spoilers at all, but there's one of the characters. I can't remember the actor's name, but they're all like have the like they look like they do in real life essentially. They've got like complete motion capture and facial capture as well. One of the characters is the same actor who plays Grant Ward in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Whatever his story is in that show, I hate that character. I was trying really hard to kill him, and I just kept fucking not doing it.
He was like the only one left alive at the end.
Yeah, if that happens, I'll be very sad and be like, how the hell did I do that?
That'll be great.
That'd be pretty great. I honestly hope that does happen, just so we're like, what the fuck? But yeah, so that's been a lot of fun. Let's see, I've played, what was it? Oh, I guess I've been playing a little bit of Marvel Heroes 2015. Just for shits and giggles. That game's kind of fun. That's the MMO Diablo style Marvel game. So that one's fun. It's not very good, but I like it. And let's see. I finished the season finale of The Leftovers, and that show may have ruined me. There's a couple episodes, specifically one focused on a character named Matt, played by Christopher Eccleston, which I don't get choked up or sad, but I felt like just horribly depressed by the end of that episode. Like I was just like, I need to step away from this show for a moment. Like it was that brutal.
Need a moment.
Yeah. Hey, Dad, how you doing? Don't look at me. But yeah, so that was like, seriously, watch The Leftovers. It's interesting. It's painful, so I understand if people don't want to stick with it, but if you can take it, just watch it. It's really fascinating. So yeah, that's pretty much been it for me.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a nice long podcast. So, yeah. So, what do you guys think? Obviously, we've got a lot of gamers out there and everything. So, tell us what you thought of 2015 in review. Like, what were some of your favorite games? What were some of your least favorite games, I guess? And yeah, definitely some trends in gaming, because we only named a few. I'm sure that there are more out there. And
I thought of like 6 while you
there you go.
I thought of a bunch.
So name the ones that Gary thought of then, and you'll get a prize or something. I don't know.
Sure.
But
don't promise anything.
Yeah, I didn't promise anything.
Okay.
I'll come to your house for Christmas.
That's the surprise.
Gary.
Nobody's gonna answer it now.
I know.
Oh, I'd answer it.
Okay, but anyways, yeah. So leave the comments in the comment section below, and as always, don't forget to
like,
comment,
and subscribe.
KitaCast out.